A very warm welcome to all our viewers and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today, our program that brings you all the latest news and events happening inside the African continent. My name is Angie Meher and I'll be joining you for this afternoon. And of course, as usual, we begin straight away with a look at some of the news making the headlines, and we go to officials in the Central African Republic that said government troops have killed 44 rebels who had surrounded the capital, Bangui. This was in an attempt to overthrow the new administration. Government spokesman said the soldiers had captured the village of Boda with the help of Russian troops. Development comes days after it declared a state of emergency to fight the rebels who control 2/3 of the country. We have more details in this report. Central African Republic troops killed 44 rebel fighters participating in a push to encircle the capital, Bangui, and overturn the newly re-elected president, Faustin Archange Touadera. The government said that together with allied forces, the Car Army launched an offensive in the village of Boyali near the capital. The government spokesman said that troops had captured the village of Boda, 124 kilometers away from Bangui, with support from Russian fighters. Rebels controlling about 2/3 of the country launched an offensive a week before presidential elections on December 26th, trying to blockade Bangui and carrying out several attacks on key national highways. The country's 6 most powerful armed groups joined forces in December, calling themselves the Coalition of Patriots for Change. But the capital was protected by a well-equipped 12,000-strong force of UN peacekeepers from the MINUSCA mission, as well as car troops and the Russian and Rwandan reinforcements. On Thursday, the government declared a 15-day state of emergency in a bid to push back the rebels. Monday's government announced about the successful attack, which is the first authorities have issued such a precise statement about casualties amongst any forces other than the UN peacekeepers. The UN has warned of the rebels trying to strangle the capital by cutting off the 3 major roads leading there. And moving on, Moderna's Inclusive said on Monday believes its COVID-19 vaccination protects against the new coronavirus strain that was found in Britain and South Africa, although it will test a new booster shot aimed at the South African variant after concluding the antibody response could be diminished. The company said it found a reduced response against the South African variant, but still believed its 2-dose regimen would provide protection. We have more details in this story. The administration of U.S. President Joe Biden has imposed a ban on South Africa over its virus variant. Former President Donald Trump had ordered the bans to end on the 26th of January as one of his final acts in office. The new travel restrictions came as Minnesota recorded the first U.S. case of the Brazil variant from a resident who'd recently traveled to that country. With the national coronavirus case count above 25 million cases, the U.S. is seeking to ramp up its vaccine rollout. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki confirmed the decision to continue the restrictions on foreign travelers on Monday. She added that in light of the contagious variant, South Africa has been added to the restricted list of travel banned. All international travelers must also present a negative test within 3 days of air travel to the U.S. Meanwhile, Moderna said its coronavirus vaccine is probably still protective against the virus strain first found in South Africa, but the company said it planned to soon start testing a booster shot tailored to protect people against that variant. South African variant is of great concern. The version of the virus has 10 mutations in the spike protein, which is the target of the leading COVID-19 vaccines, including Moderna's. Meanwhile, the Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry reiterated that Egypt is attaching great importance to the success of the African Free Trade Agreement. He highlighted the announcement of the agreement, which was made in Egypt's AU presidency in 2019. We have more details in this report. The Minister of Foreign Affairs Sameh Shoukry met earlier this week with the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkili Mini, as part of the latter's visit to Cairo. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ahmed Hafiz said during the meeting, Shoukry expressed his appreciation of the AFCFTA's Secretary General's visit to Egypt as one of his first foreign trips after the agreement's launch on the 1st of January. Shukri also praised Mini's keenness to consult with the Egyptian side and listen to its vision on issues related to the agreement. Hafez said the minister noted the great importance Egypt attaches to the success of this agreement, and he highlighted the announcement of the agreement was made during Egypt's AU presidency in 2019. Shukri also noted Egypt was one of the first countries to sign and ratify the agreement. He added that the Minister of Foreign Affairs affirmed that Egypt is fully prepared to provide all forms of support to the Secretariat. In doing so, it aims to contribute to the success of its work, carry out its responsibilities, follow up on the implementation of the agreement, and the success of its remaining negotiations. This will take place in a manner that achieves the required economic integration within Africa as a major step in establishing a united cross-continent market. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by Dr. Rauf Ghaffar, our political analyst. It's a very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you, my dear.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. Now, of course, Egypt is a very big advocate for the African Free Trade Agreement that has just come into force 2 weeks ago. How do you see this deal really changing the way business is conducted in Africa?
Sure. This is one very positive step in the direction of full integration of the African continent. We know that we all aspire to having an African Union full size like the European Union within 40 years, but I mean, this is one good step on the way.
Yes.
So it's very important to make it easy for passengers, for goods to move between different countries, and this is what it is all about, because not only that we want to enhance the internal trade between the different African states, but we want again to channelize the African products to outside the continent in different markets, whether Asian or European, and in the same time to channelize the goods and merchandises and services coming from outside the continent into the continent through this agreement, which will permit the movement, as I said, of everything between the countries in a very easy and smooth way.
Absolutely. Doctor, now, how do you see Egypt's pivotal role gaining from this agreement, specifically being a gateway in and out, really, of Africa, whether to Asia or to Europe?
First of all, Egypt has, the location is unique.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, as you rightly said, we are the gateway to the Arab countries, to Asia from one side, to Europe from the other, to Middle East countries from the third. So I mean, we are the, I should say, the excellent way in and out from and to the African continent. This is number one. Number two, Egypt has enough experience and know-how to help the other African states into, I mean, increasing and improving their industries and their products, so that it can be exported into different markets. So, of course, Egypt has been not only the location, but the leadership of Egypt has been exerting a huge effort into Africa and into the betterment of Africa, and we will continue that over the coming years, and we want to see a very successful and promising African continent in the very near future.
Yes, absolutely. Doctor, now the African Union is estimating that the implementation of this African Free Trade Area deal will lead to about a 60% boost in intra-African trade by next year. Do you see this number as achievable?
Well, I mean, I cannot predict if the 60% number is achievable. It can be, of course, but I mean, if we start moving in this direction and we achieve 30, 40, 50, we would be very happy. And as long as we're on the right track and if we don't achieve 60 this year, we'll achieve the next year. But hopefully, within the coming years, we will reach more than 60%. So it is nice to have a good, ambitious goal and work to achieve it. And I hope very much that we get to this figure within the limited time.
Absolutely. Also, we've seen President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressing over and over that stability is of supreme importance, really, to provide a befitting environment to make this deal work. Do you see that security is a main priority now for African nations to really allow the full African economic integration?
It is the main, not one of.
Yes.
It is the main. There is no improvement, there is no development without stability. This is ABC. And of course, no investor will come, no development will take place except in an environment of security and stability.
Yes.
And we, of course, Egypt, know that very well. And not only that, but we have worked on establishing stability and security all over the continent. We have taken a very active part in agreements in different countries aiming to this. And I am sure that we are all aware of that. And once again, I emphasize what you just said, that yes, stability and security are the most important issues regarding the development of any place.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a bit about some of the markets. What markets do you think that Egyptian products will easily venture, and which of them do you see Egyptian investors eager really to explore?
First of all, I'll start to the end. The continent of Africa is full of resources. It's a very rich continent.
Yes.
Unfortunately, very badly exploited or not exploited at all. So Egypt, as I said, has the know-how and has the expertise to exploit and to help countries exploit their resources. So this is a very good area for Egyptian investors and for Egyptian know-how and technology to take its rightful place within the emerging African continent. This is from one side. The other side is that the products coming from Egypt can find an excellent market within the African states because the quality is acceptable, very much acceptable, and compatible with the European and the Asian qualities, and the price is again affordable and is reasonable and attainable, so it can compete in the market. So it's a two-way street. We can sell our products in African states, or we can use our knowledge and expertise and investments to develop our trends in the different African states.
Right. Doctor, now this continental deal asks for the standardization of product specifications, which should be done similarly in all countries. How do you see this as an important factor playing into the quality of products across the nations?
Absolutely. If we're talking one front representing African products that is directed toward the foreign markets, then the quality has to be acceptable, and not only acceptable, but equal in different countries and through different producers. And to put specifications and codes to regulate this, and this should be very important and should be extremely important for us to reach the different markets. So yes, of course, to put standards and specifications and codes is something of essence in order to reach a good quality product that can come from any country exactly the same.
Yes.
Therefore, increase the compatibility of the African products all over the world.
Absolutely. Right. In your opinion, though, Doctor, how do you see the global COVID-19 pandemic as hindering maybe some of the procedures, or on the other side, really allowing more capacity for African goods to be traded, as compared to from other countries, for example, China or Turkey, etc.?
I can say about Egyptian products, we have seen that although we have had very bad times with the COVID-19, but we managed to increase our exports, and we managed to open new markets that were not open before the COVID-19.
Yes, yes.
But again, we're talking globally now. Of course, the pandemic has hindered a lot of development projects and steps. But again, I think that we should contain it very, very soon, and hopefully get back on the right channel and start increasing the production and our exports, etc. So, although it represents an obstacle, and it did represent an obstacle over the last year or so, but I think that we have, as Egypt, benefited from it in our exports, thank God, and once it is sort of diminishing as far as pandemic is concerned, things will get much, much better within the whole of Africa.
Absolutely right. Doctor, now as the free trade deal is coming into effect, signatories are expected to drop about 90% of tariffs on imports between African countries. Do you see this as possibly hindering their local industries, or how do you see them protecting really their domestic industries?
No, I think that if it is rightfully studied and rightfully the concept is rightfully made, I think that we can sort of implant the industries in different areas to avoid competition and what have you. So we can agree on establishing different industries in different areas so that it does not hinder the development of any particular country. We are talking integration, so we have to work together so that we don't compete. On the contrary, we work together so that we can all benefit from that. So, of course, what you said is right. This will, and then again, it will increase the inter-country trade within the African continent itself, which is again a very big plus for this agreement.
Yes. One final question, if I may, Doctor.
Go ahead.
Lots of African countries are now moving towards industrialization more than their usual sources of income, whether be it agricultural or raw materials, etc. How do you see this agreement and this trade agreement really encouraging African countries to hasten their industrialization process in order to really benefit from this trade deal?
The easiest thing to do is to sell raw material or something that is raw. And that will represent the minimal profit. So the only wise thing to do is to transform this raw material or this resource into a semi-finished or a finished product. So we can add value to the raw material and then can sell it with a higher price. And this is exactly what should be done. So we can use our very big resources, and we simply work them in a way to transform them into semi-finished products, and then we can sell them and make much more profit and get much bigger benefit. So this is exactly the way we should do, and I'm sure Egypt has started it, and it will be everywhere in Africa.
And it is indeed a win-win scenario, really, for the African countries.
100%.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Raouf Ghaffar, our political analyst and our guest for this afternoon. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on today's edition and, of course, for all your insight. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up today's episode of Africa Today. My name is Angie Mehermeni. Thanks for watching.